This is Dirty Stupid Wisdom, and I'm Ben Keaton. You know, I've met a lot of really brilliant people in my time, but only one of them was a time traveler. Doctor Who. Oh, yes. And he was quite a hoot. I saw Doctor Who's Bollocks. There are times when you find yourself in unexpected situations with no idea how to respond. Situations your parents forgot to cover in their life is what you make of it speech. Mom and Dad were thorough, but most advice for teenagers in Ireland in the 70s was about keeping your hands to yourself. Not on yourself, obviously. That's bad too. Just limp by your sides, like old celery stalks. But hang on. Come to think of it, Dad might have said, if bollocks are waved at you, be polite. There's no excuse for rudeness. Yes, that sounds like him all right. I do remember being polite when Doctor Who dangled his bollocks in front of me. I remember laughing because it was funny. And an old man's bollocks are mesmerizing under the right circumstances. How you behave in unexpected situations tells a lot about a person. When I was attacked in the street of our town by a drunk and ran away laughing until he caught up with me and punched me in the head, that underlined my need to see everything as funny. Comedy is my superpower. I can transform boring to hysterical, dull to joyous, and violent to humiliating. Punching a laughing 60-year-old is so uncool. Uncool, Rob. Uncool. Comedy's been my retreat when times are difficult. I have a philosophy. If the day is shit, buy a cheap bottle of cava and celebrate. Punch fate in the head. See, Rob? Your violence was a cliché. When I thought I heard the priest say, Esther was a beaver, from the altar at my mum's funeral, it was born from the same instinct. He actually said, Esther was a believer. Oh, I heard him clear as a bell. Just translated it into something I could deal with. A funny story I could tell later. As it turns out, we were both wrong. To the best of my knowledge, my mother has never chewed wood or mentioned God. Oh, she was devout, as long as St. Jude could help find her glasses. I never saw her take communion or exorcise the devil. Her religious experience was internal, like digestion. When I found myself centre stage at the Wyndham's Theatre in the West End, in the part of Jacobs, delivering All the World's a Stage to a packed house, when just 2 weeks before I had never spoken a word of Shakespeare outside the classroom, I had no idea if I could pull that off. If the theatre, heaving with tourists, fingering their way through copies of the play, would bother to look up. If Helen McCrory would wince. If Sean Hughes would disown me. If the rest of the cast would remember a better delivery in a regional theatre on a recent tour. That was a situation that comedy was powerless to transform. A situation not listed in the Book of Hindsight. One unimpeded by terror. Back to the bollocks. I never tire saying that. The doctor I'm referring to was Sylvester McCoy, the seventh incarnation of the most famous British doctor never to work for the NHS. I was booked to do a benefit, a big West End thing in support of something or other. This was a couple of years before the TARDIS came to whisk Sylvester off. I'm merging periods of time just to capture your attention. I think the doctor would approve. We were sharing a dressing room. He was doing a turn with Michelle, a tall, sunken-eyed Mick Fleetwood lookalike. They were nervous. Correction, we were nervous. Pre-show nerves. So everything was louder and funnier than it might be. So, Sylvester climbs up onto the table in front of the makeup mirror, turns his back to me and crouches down. Michel grabs my attention. He tells me a story about two brothers who became monks in order to avoid a pigeon that had made their lives miserable. Sylvester took the part of the pigeon, cooed and flapped on the dressing room table. The story went that the poor pigeon couldn't find the brothers, no matter how hard he tried. He desperately wanted to shit on them one last time. Michel's sunken eyes sparkled, and he shouted, but suddenly, there they were! I turned to where he's pointing, and in front of me, less than 2 feet from my face, are Sylvester McCoy's bollocks, squeezed out of the back between his legs. Now, because this is a memory of significance to the Doctor Who fans, let me add some detail. The bollocks were close together, shiny, and yet hairy. Stretched, if you like. If you've ever been to Madame Tussauds and seen the back of Crippen's head, you'll know what I mean. He's in the Gallery of Murderers, if they still do such a thing. If you haven't, just imagine 2 old bollocks stretched tight. Check your Labrador. Of course, they weren't alone. Above, between the cheeks of his arse, a black hole. It might have been another colour. I didn't linger. All I can say is that it isn't something Dulux do. Anyway, back to the bollocks. Still good. We laughed. Sylvester looked round for my approval, keen to hold the pose past the crescendo of comedy to the suburbs of uncomfortable. It was a hysterical moment. Memorable, joyful, hairy. I joined the joke, clothed. Of course, it was a topper, in that no joke afterwards was going to eclipse it. The mood of hilarity continued until we headed off to the wings to do our bit for charity. We never met again. I banked that memory, knowing that the right time would come to share it. Today is that day, and I'm so grateful that you're here with me. If there is a moral to all this, and there isn't, it's a story structure thing. I have to make an attempt to prove you weren't wasting your time here. What's the point of all this if you can't make a meme from it, right? Anyway, if there is a moral to it, it'll be on this list. 1. Listen to your parents. 2. Laughter buys you time in challenging situations. 3. Bollocks is such a great word. Just saying it makes people happy. Go on. Say it. Recently I met Sylvester McCoy, and I did say to him the story that I was going to recount here on Dirty Stupid Wisdom, and he said, no, that wasn't me. That was Marcel. I made a mistake. I'm afraid I said Michel. The actual name of the person was Marcel. He said, no, I was in a double act with Marcel, and he was the one who would do that. He would pop his testicles out the back of and tell that story, and it was, it was not me. And I said, well, it's too late now, because I'm going to tell everybody that it was you. And he said, well, okay, I guess. And that's what's happened. So as far as I'm concerned, I saw Doctor Who's bollocks. I don't care about the truth. All I want is time-traveling bollocks. I have something for you. It's a lesson. Never piss off a good writer. The Neighbours by Ben Keaton. The sun did not shine on their home. It did not dare. The moon and werewolves shied away. The ghouls and polkas, the dragons, found their victims elsewhere. They are our neighbours, sipping blood from wedding china, casting spells while cutting grass, appearing at the door with coal-black eyes, apocalyptic in their threats. Her fingers, thin like twigs, a tongue of eels bathed in anger. Him, shadowless, a hollow soul, just back from Aldi, desperate for cheap treats to soothe her rage. And the source of their fury, the girl, a teen, familiar with evil from her time online, comfortable with the law, her powers of protest and irritation keen and ready. Ben, an old man, lyrical and cheerful, standing outside, howling like a dog, or screeching like a metal gate. Guerrilla warfare of suburban measure, followed by giggles and a closing door. She, the woman of the house, a score of hearts yet to embroider, far too busy for the wounding they intend, loudly plans a jacuzzi on the flat roof, an open invitation to swingers and local whores. We conspire, us elves, to bait our tormentor with hip-hop and paying guests, to sleep through and wake refreshed, to dry our sheets till the party wall shivers like a wet dog, kicking the hornet's nest till their eyes infuse with incandescent rage. Ha! I feel compelled to justify this episode, a lie about an actor, followed by an example of petty vengeance. But I'm not going to. It is, after all, dirty, stupid wisdom. Nothing is logical or true. It's just examples of the nonsense that we do. I have had a message from Karen, who says, I so enjoyed the episode which ended with someone cleaning their shoes. It was so evocative. Thank you, Karen. That is a lovely thing to say. Have a word with Ross, because he said it was bollocks. Oh, bollocks. Nice circle there. You can subscribe to Dirty Stupid Wisdom, and I really would appreciate it if you did. Otherwise, I'm just here and talking to the wall and doing it on my own, and who needs that image? Nobody. If you subscribe, you can do it. For example, if you're listening on Spotify, there'll be a like or a button there, and if you hit that, then a little notification will come up, and it'll tell you that there's another episode coming. And also, if you're on dirtystupidwisdom.com, there is an actual subscribe button there. And if you've felt compelled, you could leave a message. There is a comment box and a place to leave a review. That's all possible. It's been so nice, this lying I did today. Till next time.